Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the final part of the construction video for our YouTube studio kitchen. It seems like it's taken forever, but it's finally done. So you ready? Let's get into this. Okay, so my other two pieces of countertop finally showed up. It's a pretty good thing too, because I couldn't make any more progress on the studio without those done. The piece for the island was a lot easier because it was already the right length and all I had to do was cut about 9 inches off of the width. That's all I had to do for that as far as cutting goes, because it's basically just a big rectangle with no holes cut in it or anything. For the other two pieces of countertop, it was a little bit more difficult. First, you have to make sure they're the right length. The width isn't a problem because they're all about 25 inches deep and that's just a standard countertop. But as far as the length goes, if you make it too long, then it's not going to fit in the space. And if you make them too short, you're going to have a gap. So the first piece I cut is the one that the induction cooktop goes into. And the second piece was the one for the sink. In addition to cutting them the right length, you have to make sure you cut out the exact right size hole for the cooktop and the sink. In addition to that, you got to make sure it's in the exact right spot on the countertop. Otherwise, the cooktop wouldn't line up underneath the range hood and the sink wouldn't line up with the window. Also, if I cut those holes off an inch or so, then those things wouldn't fit anyway because they'd end up running into the sides of the cabinet bases. After I got them cut, then I had to prep them so I'd be able to connect the two pieces together. Since they're wooden countertops, you're really not supposed to glue them together because you have to leave a little bit of movement so they can expand. So I used a combination of a pocket hole cutter and a biscuit joiner. I thought I was gonna have a hard time with those tools, but they turned out to be super simple. After I got that done, it was time to start finishing the wood. Remember, you gotta finish the top and the bottom. You don't necessarily have to stain the entire bottom of your countertops, but you do have to seal them. If you don't do that, then your countertops could end up warping. So the process that I followed was to first sand the surface really well, along with all the corners and all the rough edges around where I cut the holes out for the cooktop and the sink. After I got it sanded really well, I hit the entire surface with some pre-conditioner. And after that soaked in, I did 2 coats of dark walnut stain. After letting that dry, it was time to start sealing. I liked it to make some wipe-on polyurethane, which is basically just polyurethane mixed with mineral spirits. It makes it really easy to spread and you have minimal amounts of bubbles to deal with. The only problem with that is you got to put lots and lots of coats on there since they go on so thin. So to make sure I had enough protection, I hit the bottom with 3 coats, and after those were dry and I was able to flip the countertops over, I hit the tops with another 7 coats. After that dried up, I was able to bring them into the studio, piece them together with the biscuits, and screw the countertops down. After that was done, it was time to move on to the induction cooktop. There's just a couple of friction clips on the left and right that when you slide the thing down into the countertop, it holds it in place. I just had to make sure I did the electrical connections first because it would be a real pain in the ass to try to do it after the cooktop's already in. Next, I moved on to the dishwasher, and that was actually pretty easy. All you really do is drill a hole in the side of the cabinet to run the cables through, connect the electrical connections and the water supply line on the back of the dishwasher, run those through the hole, slide the dishwasher back, and then it was as simple as adjusting the screws at the base of the dishwasher to raise the back and front up until they're right near the countertop. From there, there's just a couple of screws to hold it into place and you're all set. The next thing I did was install my Leman. If you know what a Lazy Susan is in a corner cabinet, this is basically something like that, but way better. In fact, it's a much better use of the space, and if you're having cabinets built, I really recommend going that route. It was the only part of my cabinets that I hadn't installed yet, and that was because I couldn't put that stuff in there without the countertops because I had to be able to anchor those down first. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get back in there and do it. Next, I installed some floating shelves back behind where I stand. And if you're looking close, you can see that I screwed up big time because the right shelf intrudes in underneath the range hood. And since there's backsplash going there, it's not gonna work. I figured that out a little bit too late, so I guess I gotta patch a couple of holes. With the shelving done, I moved on to installing all my RGB lights. All my lights are addressable RGB lights, so not only can I change the color, but I can put different patterns and all kinds of fun stuff into them as well. In addition to the lights that are sitting right on top of the countertops, I had to install a track and some diffusers as well. That way you can't really see a whole bunch of dots where each light goes. Because if you can see each individual light like that, it really does look like ass. The water line coming into the studio from the well is just cold water. So I have to make hot water once it gets in here, and obviously this isn't a very big space, so I can't put a full-size water heater in here. So I found a small one from GE that holds 2.5 gallons. I just had to tee it off a couple of times in order to have enough connections to hook up all the stuff that needs hot water. In my case, it's 3 connections. I need one for the dishwasher, one for the sink, and one for my pot filler over the Induction cooktop. Next, I move on to all my live streaming equipment. That includes the adjustable stand for my two 32-inch monitors that I was using before, my A10 Mini Extreme that I use to switch all the cameras in here, my Stream Deck, my GoPro 10 that I use to do downward facing video, and also my desktop computer that I run the entire thing from. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Next, I move on to the backsplash. This was by far the most stressful part of the entire job. It wasn't really the hardest thing in the world to do, but if I make any mistakes doing that, it's going to ruin parts of the wall. And since the studio is so close to being done, I was really freaking out about messing something up majorly and then having to do major repairs. Luckily, I kind of got the hang of it pretty quick and I only made a handful of stupid mistakes. The tile that I used for the backsplash is all glass mosaics, and since I'm an idiot, I cut them all without wearing any gloves. So by the time I got done cutting and installing all the mosaic tile, I had micro cuts all over my fingers. I let the thin set on the tile dry for 2 days and then it was time to move on to grout. Again, the grouting is easy, but I'm using dark charcoal colored grout, and that stuff stains really bad if it touches the walls. So again, I had to be super careful not to get it onto the countertop or onto the walls or touch my face or anything like that. Again, it took a little while to get used to doing it, but after working on it for a little while, you get into a rhythm and it starts going faster. I was really happy with the color of that grout. The picture on the box is a lot lighter than what I actually got on the walls, but that's okay because I wanted the darkest color that I could get. The color I use is something called dark charcoal. One thing about grout, especially something this dark, is you gotta make sure you're kind of cleaning up as you go along. Otherwise, you're gonna get that grout drying on top of the tile and then you're never gonna be able to get it off. So I probably cleaned it a little bit too much, but at least I don't have a bunch of crap sticking to it either. And the last thing to go in was the sink. It's a big workstation sink, so it's a little bit hard to work around. And to make things go more simple, I installed the faucet into it first. The faucet I'm using is a Moen Smart faucet. You can actually talk to it, tell it how much water you want and what temperature you want that water at, and it'll do everything for you without even having to touch it. In addition to the faucet, I installed an air gap for the dishwasher, all the connections on the water heater, the garbage disposal, and all of the extra plumbing connections. And after that, there's just a little bit of touch-up work and I won't have to deal with this crap anymore. A lot of people said I was crazy to try to put a kitchen into a Tuff Shed, especially when I told them that I was gonna do it myself.
Say what?
And to be honest, I really didn't think I'd be able to do it. That's a real testament to how much help you can find on YouTube. Anyway, it's been really fun taking you on this journey, and I thought it would be a really cool thing to be able to document exactly how all this came to be. If you like this video, you might like to check out my playlist right here where I have all of the construction of the studio documented. If you check that out, then you get a pretty good understanding of exactly how much work goes into doing something like this. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon. Until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.